Hi, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of Not Aspirational with Hannah Brown. I'm your host, Hannah Brown. Welcome back. I am so excited for this week's episode because we are talking all things weddings, specifically my wedding, and then kind of using my wedding as the guinea pig to give you advice for your wedding. And I was just so happy because I brought this up in last week's episode and the response was so great. A lot of people seemed really, really excited to hear my insights on weddings, which I'm honored that you trust me with that. And then y'all went ahead and wrote in some really great questions. So we're going to dig into all of it. Why am I getting Slack messages? Ugh, this is mommy's recording time. What else? Oh, a couple updates before we dive into all things wedding. Oh, first of all, for those of you watching on YouTube, you can see that I'm wearing some bridal pajamas. They literally say bride on them. A lot of brides sell their stuff on like Poshmark or Depop after their wedding. Not fucking me. I was like, baby, I am keeping all of this forever and always. No, I never wear these bride pajamas, but I like to know that if I wanted to, I could. You know what I mean? Other life updates. I got dental surgery, which is every bit as miserable as it sounds. I have a dentist phobia. Luckily, my dentist rocks. Shout out to Dr. Grosslieb. Every time I come in, I'm like all theatrics. I'm always like, sorry I was late. I don't want to be here. Or like I go in and I'm like, fuck my life, you guys. Why am I back here again? And everyone at the office, they giggle at my stupid jokes. They indulge me and I am so grateful for them. And so they numbed me the fuck up and we're in the process of me getting a dental implant because my dumbass genetics gave me dumbass teeth that always have like issues, whether it's like a root canal or I need a dental implant or like I need sealants. I got 3 sealants today. My dentist was like, don't tell people that you have 3 cavities. People are going to think that like, they're going to be like, what the fuck is wrong with her in her mouth? Like, does she ever brush? Just tell people you got sealants. So I got 3 sealants today after getting dental surgery on Friday. Give me a fucking break. And I can only eat soft foods right now. And for a while, I thought I couldn't drink anything carbonated. But then I asked my dentist today, and he's like, who told you that you couldn't drink anything carbonated? I was like, Google. And he was like, you shouldn't be listening to Google. If we didn't tell you that, you don't need to worry about it. And I said, thank you so much, Dr. Grosslieb. Illy. Another thing that's way more important than my oral health is that an amazing new song. One might say the song of the summer came out. And yes, it's only February, but mentally I am in the summer as previously mentioned. And that song is called Sally When the Wine Runs Out by Role Model. Okay, this song has been making waves on TikTok for a while. Those of you not on TikTok, welcome to the Sally When the Wine Runs Out. That's hard to say. Welcome to the Sally When the Wine Runs Out club, okay? But it's that song that's like, oh shit, here we go again. I'm gonna hit it. Colder than a diva. She can be a diva. I haven't learned the words yet. I just know the vibes, and the vibes are so good. And the music video came out, and it's the lead singer. I think his name's Tucker. I really did no research for this segment. I just really fucking like the song. It's him like in a mall with sunglasses on and jeans and loafers and a black sweater and like headphones. And he's like dancing around, and he has this big shoulder bag. And one thing I love is a handsome man with a slutty little shoulder bag. Ugh. Shout out to Jacob Elordi, his impact. Catch me in a dive bar with that song, okay? Sally When the Wine Runs Out. Catch me in a dive bar with that song, some tiny-ass Lululemon shorts, cowboy boots, a tank top, and an attitude, okay? This summer, that is my plan. Plans include that, and I'll see you all there. Given the state of the world, music is about to get a lot better, and I will say, like, if I could trade the two, I would pick a better world and shitty music. But like the benefit of when the world is really dark and stormy is that music gets really good and really happy. And I like me a lot of BPMs, beats per minute, if you will. I respectfully don't know how people like sit around and listen to Adele. Like I could just never. I need music that makes me want to move, dance, smile, drive, like stay in motion. So that's usually like dark times is usually when the music goes in that direction to like compensate for how fucked up things are. And for that, I'm grateful. Otherwise, I would walk right into traffic. And I'm pretty sure I said that last week, but it's still true. Still true. Okay. Let's get into wedding stuff. So the way I've structured this is engagement related stuff, which is just a little section, then practical tips, just things I came up with off the top of my head, and then listener questions. So let's start with engagement. So first thing I'll say about getting engaged is people will get weird. it's not you, it's them. They will get weird. There will be someone who you think surely will be so excited for you, will be jumping up and down like, oh my God. And they'll be like, oh, okay. Yay. And then the next day you'll be like, surely they were just having a bad day. They'll text me about it. And then they won't. And you'll be like, And you might spend the days after your engagement spiraling about why certain people in your life can't be happy for you. And if you do that, you will regret it. So I'm here to tell you, people will get weird when you get engaged, and it has everything to do with them and nothing to do with you. And you cannot, easier said than done, but do not let it take away from you and your moment with you and your fiance. It is a joyful, happy time. And if anyone acts fucking weird, take notes. Just take note of that. Put it in your little mental piggy bank, because I promise you the weirdness will probably only continue, because there is nothing like a big life change of any kind. Death, losing a job, marriage, babies, all of the above, to show you who is really there for you and who's not. An engagement is the perfect time for people to show their whole asses. And again, anyone who's going to show their ass, they'll start during the engagement, and it will get crazier the closer to the wedding you get. So just take note and act accordingly. There was someone at my engagement who I literally was like, oh my God, like for years, I was like, don't make plans for my wedding. And like loved them, besties, BFF, AE. Guess what? We got in a fight like maybe 6 months later. I told them how I felt. I was like, I feel like you've been kind of a shitty friend. They never spoke to me again. I should stop singing my way through uncomfortable things. They never spoke to me again. And they weren't at my wedding. And guess what? I didn't think twice about it. I grieved that shit months before. So by the time I got to my wedding, I was like, everyone who's meant to be here is here. Also with engagements, take your time telling people and responding. Do not feel like you owe everyone on Instagram, all the tertiary people from high school, all your relatives, like an explanation right away or an announcement. Like take a minute to just soak it in with your close people, your friends, your family, your partner, your nearest and dearest, your pets. Like this is your time. Take your time sharing the news. There is no rush. You are on your own time. Also, find a way to celebrate after. Like find a way to commemorate it in whatever makes the most sense for you. You could do a staycation at a fun hotel. That's what Jake and I did, because it happened to be our anniversary weekend as well. So we had like a really romantic staycation. We just hung out by the pool all weekend, grabbed dinner with some friends who had also just gotten engaged. It was really fun. You could go paint pottery. You could go bowling. You could go to a dive bar and get some chicken wings. You could eat McDonald's in a parking lot. Anything that like makes sense to you and your partner, but just make sure to do some kind of little activity or something to commemorate it. And then on the heels of that, take some pictures, or like have your friends, if you're celebrating with them, have your friends take some pictures, because it all, yes, like you want to be present and you want to be in the moment, but also all of your feelings are like so big that it kind of is all a blur in the best way. But you're going to want some photos and videos to remember like the day you got engaged and those days following the engagement. And I will say, this is not an ad, but there is an app called Laps that I just got turned on to like this year, but it's been around for a little bit. And it's an app that you can use where it develops the photos. So you don't get to see the photos right away. They like develop over the course of a few hours. So you take the photo, you develop it later within the app, and then you can save it to your phone, and it makes everything look like really grainy. Like it looks like you took the photos on a real camera. So not only does it make even the most amateur photographers look like they like know how to take a vibey photo, but also because the photos take a while to develop, you can't get in your head about like, oh, I hate that photo. Oh, I don't like how I look. Oh, what's my hair doing? Like it's an app that, yes, lets you take photos, but unlike Instagram and TikTok, it's not about the instant gratification. It forces you to be in the moment. So download the Laps app and take some photos, click, 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 after you get engaged, or have your friends do it for you. On the heels of kind of what I said before about how like certain friendships will shift like after the engagement and before the wedding, just like depending on how long your engagement is, like mine was a year and a half, 2 years. I had a really like long engagement. And so depending on how long your engagement is, just like don't feel bad and don't be surprised if some people who initially celebrate with you don't ultimately get an invite to the wedding, especially if you want a small wedding. Like Jake and I wanted a smaller wedding of like 120 people max or less. We ended up with 82 people, us included. So especially if you want a small wedding, your guest list has to be super specific, and it has to be a reflection of who is there for you and who's important in your life in that specific moment, not who was there for you 5 years ago and never talked to you again just because you got in one fight, as I said. But enough about me. Moving on to more just like broad practical tips and advice. First of all, do not try anything new. No new hair, no new skincare, no new tanning, no new eye drops, none of the above right before your wedding. And now I will tell you a tale, okay? I was told by the hot girls on TikTok and also close friends who have, by the way, never steered me wrong. This was a total freak accident, okay? That this brand called SIO, that's SIO, that SIO silicone patches were great for preventing wrinkles, especially on your chest. And my dress was a strapless, kind of like decently plungy, like sweetheart neckline dress. So I thought, I don't want chest wrinkles. I'm going to use this chest wrinkle patch. And there were 2 in a package. I tried it out the weekend before my wedding. And I woke up in the night and I ripped it off because I remember waking up and feeling like my chest was really itchy. Now, this is where you're allowed to judge me. And you should, because in the month leading up to my wedding, I was going to a tanning bed. There I am, singing my way through uncomfortable things again. I was going to a tanning bed because I had gone to a tanning bed every other day for 10 minutes for my senior prom, and I had never felt more gorgeous in my life. So I rationalized it by saying, hey, Hannah, like, yes, you're getting a spray tan for your wedding day, but that shit's going to wash off and you're still going to want to be tan for your Italian honeymoon. So why don't you just get a base tan in the bed and then get a spray tan on top of it, and then you'll just be tan, 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 tan. Does it sound unhinged? Yeah, it was. Also, I won't like blow up this tanning spot, if you will, but I went to a nightmarish tanning place and did not get any color. And it was ultimately not only a miserable experience, no thanks to the manager at that establishment, but also a huge fucking waste of money. So anyways, I rip off this chest patch in the night, and the next day I hit the tanning bed. And I'm about 6 or 7 minutes in when I go, wow, my chest is really hot. And so I just cover it with my hands for the rest of my like 10 to 12 minutes. And by that night, I have a giant, those of you watching on YouTube, you can see like my clavicle, like my chest down to like my belly button between my boobs is a red, itchy, bumpy, inflamed mess of like, it's a full blown, it's just like hives. It's the most insane rash I've ever seen because I had an allergic reaction to the chest patch. And of course, the fucking UV rays directly on it made it worse. All my fault, by the way. Again, judge away, go ahead. But then I was like, oh my God, I have spent since January trying to feel as beautiful and perfect as I can for this big day. And now I might have a giant rash on my body that you might be able to see when I'm wearing my dress. You'll definitely be able to see it in my bridal lingerie. And I was like, fuck this. So I was pretty sad. And then I went to a dermatologist, and this super dope dermatologist, like I went to the normal office I go to, but I just took the first appointment available. And this woman was such a girl's girl. She's like, you're getting married this weekend? And I was like, yeah. And at this point, it's like Tuesday. I was like, yeah. She's like, Saturday, this Saturday. I was like, yeah. She's like, holy shit. And I was like, yeah, girl, I know. I'm freaking out. And she's like, okay. I'm going to give you this prescription for a very strong cortisone cream. Here is my personal number. If anything does not resolve by Saturday, it's my personal number. I'm off that day. I need you to text me. My daughter just got married. If this happened to her, I'd be very stressed out. Please use my number if you need it. She was a girl's girl. It like 98% was gone by the day. But all this to say, your wedding is not a time for you to experiment with beauty treatments that you've never tried before. And in the world of Pinterest and Instagram and TikTok, everyone has an opinion about what you should be doing and what you should be using. Not everything works for everyone. So if there's anything you want to try, a new type of facial you've never gotten, a new type of hair removal you've never gotten, spray tan, someone to do your eyebrows, like eye drops. Everyone says the Lumify eye drops are so great because they make your eyes so white. Try it all like 6 months in advance. I'm not kidding. Minimum like if you're going to go closer to the wedding, I would say give it like 2 months. Because if you have some adverse reaction, you want some time, like a decent cushion. for all of that to resolve itself so that the day of, everything goes as planned. All right? Okay, having a wedding party. So in this day and age, I think the traditional bridesmaid, groomsmen like structure is kind of, I don't want to say outdated because like to each their own, but I think it's becoming less and less common and less assumed that it's something you're going to do. And I did not do one. And here's why. I am very much a recovering people pleaser, and I'm still having a really hard time going all or nothing with it, where either I am setting myself on fire to be there for people, or I'm like, fuck everyone, and then just fully isolating myself. So finding the balance as a recovering people pleaser is really hard. And weddings only heighten everyone's feelings, especially your own as the bride. And I personally really don't like being the connector between people. And I knew it would be really, really stressful for me to connect like my friends from elementary school with my friends from college, with my friends from high school, and like make sure that they all get along and make sure that they all are happy and having fun. And I knew that for me personally, it would very quickly become more about them and their mood than me and my own enjoyment of the day. And I wouldn't be able to be as present. So I was like, that's out. So I just stuck to siblings. Like Jake had his siblings on his side. I had my siblings on my side. And then for getting ready, like my aunt was there. Jake's mom and sister was there. My sister was there. And it was like very chill, small group of people. I highly recommend it. And then that way, if you make like an obvious distinction of like it's only family, no one can really get mad. And also if they do get mad, that's their problem, not yours. It was literally the best decision of my life. And that kind of leads me into like the lack of bridesmaids thing kind of leads me into what I said before, which is you might lose friends during the wedding process. And I will say, if the worst thing happens and you lose friends and you have to uninvite someone, that's one less thing you have to worry about on the day. It's a phone call you have to make. It's a really uncomfortable phone call. It's a painful phone call for everyone involved. Make the phone call and keep it moving. I promise you, you do not want anyone there who is going to be a wild card, whether it's about them or about you. Like, you don't want people around you on your wedding day who are going to trigger you. And you don't want to feel self-conscious, and you don't want to worry that someone's like making fun of you or doesn't want to be there. The people who are supposed to be there will be there. So trust yourself, trust your gut. Do not make decisions around your guest list based on what other people want. Now, I know this is easier said than done, because if your parents are putting up a lot of money, sometimes they're like, well, we need to have, my elementary school best friend Ethel there. And you're like, bitch, I've met Ethel like twice. Like, I don't want Ethel there. If your mom's willing to pay for Ethel's plate, then fine. But like when it comes to your nearest and dearest, seriously, like don't feel bad about listening to yourself, trusting your gut, and having exactly who you want there, because you really want to be able to just like be your happiest self, soak up all the energy, be the center of attention, and not feel self-conscious at all. That's what you deserve. You deserve to feel like a perfect, pretty princess surrounded by people who love you and are there for you and support you and your fiance. Also, on the heels of that, you can still do a bachelorette. And that's kind of what I did. I had a bachelorette with like all my closest friends. I actually had two bachelorettes. I had one for my high school friends because I barely ever see them. And we hadn't all been together, honestly, probably since college. So I wanted to do like a small girls weekend with them in Napa. And I did like a bigger thing in Michigan with other friends. And it ended up working out great. And like everyone had a great time across the board. And I honestly feel like not having an official bridal party, but having a bachelorette party is, to me, like doing your besties a solid, because you're kind of letting them choose their own adventure. Like, they don't have to get ready with you in the morning. They don't have to wear a dress that you picked. They don't have to pay for glam that they otherwise wouldn't get. They don't have to even go on the bachelorette trip if they don't want to, or if it's not financially feasible. Like, they get to be as involved as they want to be. And across all my friends, there was definitely a range of people who were like super hands-on and were like, hey, I'm going to put my card down for dinners at the bachelorette. I got you. And then I had other people that were like, hey, I'm going to be there for this thing. Can't really be there for that, but I'm going to make it work. And like, I was happy with all of the above. I was just happy with whoever was there. So I think not having a bridal party is a lot less stress on the bride, and also a lot less stress on your friends, low key. And again, everyone has a different perspective of that. Sometimes people get really hurt when they're not asked to be a bridesmaid. But again, it should be about what you want, not about your friends, like doing this like Lillian versus Helen bridesmaids things of like, I'm closer with the bride. No, I'm closer with the bride. Like it can get so performative and so about the bridesmaids so quickly that when in doubt, just don't have them. Just don't have them. I've never regretted that decision once. Okay. Have your own email address for you and your significant other. This was a piece of advice that my friend Charlotte, shout out, gave me really early on in the wedding planning process. She was like, have an email address that you and Jake both have the login info for so that if there are like vendor emails rolling in, you can be like, hey, babe, can you get in the email and respond to that? I don't have the bandwidth right now. And not only is it a great way to take things off your plate, it's also a great way to get your fiance involved and to make sure you're both on the same page. I will say with that, this is something I wasn't the best at. If you look at an email and you don't tell your partner about it right away, put it on unread so that they can see it in there. I would sometimes read an email, not put it unread, and then Jake would be like, I didn't see that email. So, you live and learn. But yeah, have a joint email for your wedding. It makes things a lot more efficient. In that vein, in that same Google account, you should also have a spreadsheet for tracking gifts and addresses. And yes, like there are websites like Zola, etc., Amazon that do it for you. But if you're getting all kinds of gifts from like different websites, I just found that it was helpful to have everyone's info in one place. And I had little tabs for like, was it a shower gift or was it a wedding gift? Had I written the thank you card? Had I sent the thank you card? And it was kind of just like, it was easier for me to visualize it all in one place and to be able to just work off of one list that Jake also had visibility into. Next, ways to honor a parent who's no longer with us. So this was something that I had a lot of anxiety about going into wedding planning. And from the moment I got engaged, I just obviously missed my mom. And you watch movies your whole life of like the mom like straightening out the bride's veil and helping her plan, or you see the daddy-daughter dance in movies. And so it's really painful planning a wedding without a parent, and it can bring up a lot. So I wanted to honor my mom, but I didn't want it to take away from the joy of the day. I didn't want the energy to drop because of it. And I wanted it to be something that my mom would have liked. I didn't want it to be some generic, like, someone's dead, let's leave an empty chair for them, which, like, no shade if you did that at your own wedding. It just wasn't for me. I knew that my mom would be like, that's weird, don't leave an empty chair for me. So I tried to get creative, and I was really happy with what I came up with. So one thing I did that I loved was I had a second dress for my reception, a really simple, short white dress. And I found an old note that my mom had written to me. And my nickname for my mom was Pram. Don't ask why, it's a long story. But she had signed a card, Pram. And I made a photocopy of it and I sent it to my aunt, who has like an embroidery machine. And she embroidered my mom's handwriting, my mom's signature that said Pram in blue thread on the bottom of my dress. And so that way it felt like my mom was like a very fun person. Like, if nothing else, she was a fucking blast. So it felt so special and so right to have a dress with her handwriting on it that I could dance in during the reception. It felt like she was dancing with me. And so much of like what we bonded over was having fun and music. And she also loved dancing too, and like drinking and having fun. So being able to wear a dress with her handwriting on it just made me feel that much closer to her during like the highest energy, danciest part of the night. I loved it. I also made specific playlists with her favorite songs in mind. And I had several different playlists that I made on Spotify. I had a pre-show one, if you will. So like what played before the ceremony. I had one for cocktail hour, one for dinner service, and one for the reception. And I sent those all to my DJ so that he had visibility. And I heavily communicated, like, this is what I'm going for. These are my mom's favorite songs. And specifically, my mom's favorite songs were very much in the cocktail hour playlist and the dinner service playlists. And he made sure to hit those songs during those like beats of the night. So I really felt connected with her through those songs, and playing her favorite songs that we always used to listen to together just made me feel like she was giving me a hug, and I absolutely felt her presence with me, and it was awesome. I also treated myself to a solo visit with a medium the month before, and the music actually came up. So I hadn't told anyone that I was doing this at that time. But during my session with this medium, he was like, are you a musician or like a singer? And I was like, no. And he's like, weird, because your mom keeps saying, tell her I'll be with her through her music. And I was like, oh my God. And he's like, does that mean anything to you? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And I explained to him, I was like, yeah, I know you're not supposed to feed the medium stuff, but like he had already said that she said she was going to be with me through my music. So I was like, I actually have been planning a lot of my wedding songs around her. And he's like, that makes sense. Yeah, she wants you to know she will be with you on that day through your music. So that was really cool. And I would say, like, if you're into that woo-woo stuff, seeing a medium as a wedding gift to yourself before the wedding is so fun and very affirming. We also had our officiant take a moment at the top of the ceremony to remember my mom, and I had written something for him to read that I thought reflected her and her personality, and it was along the lines of like, Hannah said if we saved a cheer for Laura, she would have thought it was weird. So instead, we're going to take a moment to remember her now. And if you hear a song tonight that reminds you of her, we ask that you remember her. Hannah picked those songs with her in mind. So we kind of all took a moment there, and that sort of just gave everyone a minute to sort of just like breathe in her energy and recognize her. And then we just moved on, and it felt like very peaceful and like, like it was like she was there, but it did not feel sad. It did not feel heavy. It just felt like she was partying with us and celebrating with us. And I really thought going into the day that I would like be more sad about it and I would feel more of that heaviness, but I was just so, so happy. Oh, I'm not going to cry. Oh, I was so, so happy. And I know that that was her gift to me, was just feeling like it was the best day of my life. And I didn't know that I could have the best day of my life without her there. But if you are missing a parent and you're worried that it's not possible to have a good day without them, I promise it is. And that they'll be there with you. Okay, didn't expect to cry, but here we are. You guys, now that I have named that behavior of me singing through like uncomfortable moments, now I can't unhear it. And I'm sure you can't either. So I'm sorry. I'm really going to try and cut that out. It's wild the things we do to mask our vulnerability. You know what I mean? Okay, next. For nails, there is a lot of literally no delicate transition out of like my dead mom into like, let's talk about nails. Am I right, girlies? So nails, there's a lot of nail inspo. There's like a whole sect of TikTok that's like bridal nails. And it's like trying a different bridal color every month until my wedding, until I figure out what I like. One coat ballet slipper, one coat bubble bath, chrome nail, chrome donut, glazed donut, jelly donut, strawberry donut, French manicure. What shape? I don't know. It's so fucking overwhelming. For nails, just go with what makes you feel the most like you. And I go through phases with nails, but within the last year, I was very into like unpolished, short Sarah Jessica Parker nails. And so for my wedding, I went short, round, clear. Super clean, super classic. And even when I was getting them done, Christine, my girl, she's like the best nail tech in the world, like can fucking do anything you ask her to do. And I was like, I just want them short and clear. And she's like, what? And I was like, just short and clear. And she's like doing them. And she's like, isn't your wedding coming up? And I was like, yeah, these are for my wedding. And she's like, what? And she was like shook. She was like, are you sure? And I was like, Christine, yes, like I'm sure. And she was like, I have brides. They're coming in. They're trying colors for an entire year. Like, are you sure that that's what you want? I was like, I am positive. She's like, okay. And then, of course, I like caught one of my nails on my razor in the shower and I had to go back and get one of them fixed because there was like a little chunk of the polish missing and I had a mentee bee. But other than that, I was so happy with the choice to go short and clear, also because they held up really nicely on my honeymoon. And that's like, I'll get more into this later, but just remember with every decision you're making, it has to reflect, or it should reflect you, not what society says, quote, a bride should look like. I think one of the biggest things that I struggled with was bridal pressure. And I don't think we talk about it enough, that like the second you get engaged, you're expected to be some like Disney princessified version of yourself. You're supposed to be Glinda and like you're supposed to be this hyper feminine, perfect version of yourself. But literally it's just you with a ring on your finger getting married. So for me, it's like, I'm still clumsy. I still prefer my nails short and without nail polish. Well, at least I did last year. I'm kind of getting more into longer nails with polish now, but like it ebbs and flows, right? I still am someone who has an attitude when I'm overwhelmed. Like none of those things are going to change just because you're a bride. And don't let society make you feel like you need to assume some hyper feminine, outdated personality just because someone asked you to marry them. Give me a break. By the way, I just took a little sparkling water break. You know when I'll know that I've made it as a podcaster? When I'm in a studio with a big ass can of Liquid Death. Who decided that Liquid Death was like the hot, cool podcaster drink? And for those of you who don't know, Liquid Death is just sparkling water, but like their branding is so fucking sick. Like they have the sexiest cans. And I'll know that I've made it when I'm in a studio in like an oversized leather jacket and some bitchy pointy heels with the Liquid Death. Let's all manifest that for me, shall we? Manifesting it. Okay. So, in the vein of my nails, make sure all your beauty treatments reflect you. This also includes makeup. So, I was on Pinterest. I was collecting all this makeup inspo. I communicated it to my incredible makeup artist, Tashi Spira. She's in the Chicagoland area. I'll link her in the show notes. If you want to link up with her, she's incredible. We did a trial in August. Loved it. Felt gorgeous. Blushy, glowy, bridal glam, okay? Loved it. I walked around it for like a few hours in that makeup and I was like, I love this, but I don't feel as me with this makeup as I thought I would. And she went off of all these inspo pics that I showed her and I texted her and I was like, I want to change like almost everything. And she was like, okay, great. And we pivoted. And the day of, I was super specific. I showed her new pictures. I was like, here's what I liked. Here's what I didn't. Here's where I think I want to go with it. She fucking killed it. A shock to no one. Hit it out of the park. And I felt so me. I just felt like me on my best day. And obviously everyone's bridal vision is different. But in looking at all those Pinterest photos and honestly looking at dresses too, you might think that you want something. And then when you try it on yourself, you're like, oh, I didn't actually like that on me as much as I thought I would. Like with dresses, this is a tip I didn't even write down, coming up with this off the cuff. With dresses, try on everything. Everything. I thought I wanted something slinky with a high neck and a long sleeve. And I honestly thought I wanted like Olivia Colpo's dress. And I tried things on with a high neck and I'm like short and I am kind of like an hourglass figure. I have a butt, I have boobs, and I did not like that stuff on me. I felt like I looked just kind of like matronly and I didn't feel good in it. I also don't love my stomach, and those dresses, like some of the slinkier ones, highlighted my stomach. And I was like, I'm going to be stressed out enough. Do I really want to worry about, a specific body part in all of my pictures? Like, why put myself through that if I don't have to? And then the manager of the boutique I was looking at was like, will you try this on for me? And I looked at it and it was lace, which I did not think I wanted. It was A-line, which I did not think I wanted. And it was strapless, which I did not think I wanted. And I was like, are you serious? And I had a belt. I was like, it has a fucking belt. What is this belt? And she's like, just indulge me. Just try it on. I felt perfect. I felt like Stephanie Germanotta if she was an Italian princess. It was everything I never knew I needed. I felt gorgeous in it. And by the time it was tailored within an inch of its life, I felt fucking stunning. So try on every single dress, because you might love a dress in theory, but you might love it on someone else more than you love it on you. And ultimately, the day is about you. It's not about the model. It's not about that hot girl on Pinterest with the hair and makeup that you liked. It's about you feeling great. So try different things to figure out what makes you feel the best. When you're getting ready, simplify where you can. This is a hot take. Again, I'm sorry that I'm constantly referencing Pinterest and TikTok, but I do feel like, and actually my makeup artist Tashi said this, she's like, in the 90s, women just had bridal magazines to look at. You just skim through a magazine and be like, okay, this is the hair I like, this is the dress I like. Now we have the internet. So we have infinite resources. We have Pinterest, TikTok, Instagram, wedding websites, The Knot, Martha Stewart weddings, whatever. And so you get decision fatigue. You get decision paralysis because you don't want to make the wrong choice. Ideally, we're all only going to do this once. And you're like, what the fuck do I do? So it's very easy to put a lot of pressure on yourself. And I remember when I saw people getting ready on TikTok, I saw these insane charcuterie spreads that took up an entire table and easily cost $1,000. And I was like, okay, I'm not doing that. I don't have the budget for that. And also it's only going to be 5 of us. Who's even going to be hungry? Everyone has different dietary restrictions. What the fuck am I going to do? Do I have to set this up? I don't want to make someone else set this up. What the fuck is the point? So you know what I did? I passed around my phone and I said, anyone want Postmates? And everyone ordered what they wanted. And everyone was happy as a clam. Everyone was fed Everyone was full. I had Real Housewives of New York on in the background because that's what I wanted to watch. I watched Jill Zarin put a snake on her head in Morocco. You know what, Jill? Take it off your head. I watched the Morocco trip of Roni, and I had a blast. I was truly at peace. I was eating my Alfred breakfast burrito, drinking a cold brew, living my best fucking life, watching Roni, and I wasn't overstimulated because there weren't a ton of people there. And I had a blast. I had a little sip of champagne here and there, but overall, I was just chugging water all day because I want to be very hydrated and glowy. And we had a great fucking time. So simplify where you can. You don't need to come up with a special playlist. You don't need to decorate the room. You don't need to have a giant spread of food. People are there for you. So if that doesn't sound fun for you, don't fucking do it. It's your day. Okay. Y'all, this might have to be a two-parter. I wasn't expecting that. Whew, I'm running out of time. Jeez Louise, I have to get to Orange Theory. I couldn't go to Orange Theory for a few days because of my stupid dental surgery. So yeah, I'm trying to make up for some lost time because I'm doing the transformation challenge. Anyways, I digress. Okay, another piece of advice. Get your shoes on the bigger side if you're between sizes. So I'm usually between a 7.5 and an 8, which, why, yes, is a little large for my 5'3" stature. Don't at me about it. But if you're between sizes, go with the bigger size between the two because your feet are going to swell throughout the day if you're in heels. And you can always put a heel pad in it to give your heel some extra cushion and to fill out the shoe a little bit. Your feet will swell into the shoe. They cannot get smaller if the shoe is too tight. So if you're between sizes, get your shoes on the bigger side. Next, pack a go bag well in advance. Have the shit packed 2 weeks in advance so it's one less thing to think about. Here's what you should include in it. A Tide pen. I got a Rogue stain right before my first look that we had to get out with a Tide pen and vodka. So have a Tide pen, a little shot of vodka. I'm sure your venue will have it, but just in case, you can never be too careful. Band-Aids, heel pads, tissues, blotting papers, dental floss, Listerine, your lip combo, tampons and pads or panty liners, lip balm, safety pins, bobby pins, tweezers, deodorant, perfume, and a sewing kit. Write it all down, baby. And also, if you don't want to write this all down, I want to shout out Melissa Andre. I follow her on TikTok. She's awesome. She's a celebrity event planner and she's done tons of celebrity weddings. She has a $60 downloadable guide. And I'm sure there are other creators who do this too, but I know Melissa does it for sure and she's awesome. She has a downloadable guide that I'll link in the show notes that gives you just a complete checklist of everything from when should I get my Botox before my wedding to when to assign tasks to people in your wedding party and when to have things done by. So it's super useful, super practical, and it's really great if you don't have a planner. Okay, everyone, that took longer than I expected. So that is all for part 1. Make sure to listen next week for part 2, where we're going to dive into your listener questions. I really, really can't wait to get into it. I'm so excited to talk about this with all of you, and I hope it's helpful. Follow me on Instagram and Substack at Hannah A. Brown. TikTok at Hannah A. Brown 0. Subscribe and tune in on YouTube if that's your journey. All of that is in the show notes for you. And if you love the show, do me a favor, leave it a rating and a review. Your reviews are so fucking nice. They mean the world to me. Thank you so much for taking the time. And if you love the show, leave a rating and a review. Share with your friends. Spotify also has their comment feature, so leave a comment if you feel so inclined. And I'll see you next week. Love you. Bye.